Let's run through some teams. Those are the top dogs. Let's go through this. SMU 8.5. It's at -124 right now. Rhett Lashley, Kevin Jennings back. SMU. Tyler Van Dyke, backup quarterback. By the way, saw that when I was doing my research.
Yeah,
Get a chuckle out of that one.
How is he? Can we ask how? How and why?
COVID.
The libs maybe. We're talking SMU.
I don't know if TBD's a lib guy though.
I don't know, but I don't think the schedule's super brutal for SMU. My whole thing about this SMU team going into this season was how much was last season a fluke, and they are on the complete opposite end of the trends of Clemson right now because, look, Clemson finished the season a little strong, beat SMU, had a great showing in the college football playoff game, even though they lost, so it's easy to, get high on them. You go back to SMU, disappointing loss in the ACC title game when everyone said you're kind of fraudish, and then you go to Penn State and you just get absolutely dismantled in Penn State in the college football playoff and kind of exposed yourself. I think this SMU team's fine. I don't necessarily love Kevin Jennings that much. I think he's slightly overrated in my opinion.
Dylan, you want to go first, or you want me to go?
I'll go. I'm not super high on this SMU team. Wasn't really high on them last year. I guess I was kind of proven wrong. Kevin Jennings, second leading rusher. You lose Brashard Smith, your leading rusher with over 1,300 rushing yards. My problem here is going to be that the defense was very good. One of the top defenses in the ACC last year, allowed 22.1 points per game. You lose a lot of those guys. You only have 2 defensive starters returning, and the transfers that you go out and get to try and address that, they just aren't that good. They just have not been that good in their career, especially Jeffrey Mba from Purdue. He's just not a good football player. Offensively, it still might be there. It's going to be tough to fill the hole that Brashard Smith is leaving. Kevin Jennings, I think, is fine. I wouldn't say, overrated like you said, Carter, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to. I think he's going to be asked to do more because the defense is going to be worse. And I don't think he's going to be able to put it all on his back. That's my worry with SMU. And I also want to say, Carter, a lot of talk. I don't think we've had a tough schedule by your standards in the ACC yet. If you're playing Clemson and Miami in the same year,
Clemson has a tough schedule. I think Clemson has a tough schedule.
That's a tough schedule. If you have Clemson and Miami, that's a tough schedule in the ACC.
For SMU, I'm more so talking about the non-con Baylor, TCU. I mean, you're mostly playing the
bad.
I'm just saying, let's be a little tougher on the schedules here. Everybody's got an easy schedule so far.
Okay, that's fine. But you go back to SMU last year. I think a big part of their success was they got to skate by in the ACC last year. They didn't have to play any of the tough teams. They didn't have to play Miami. They didn't have to play Clemson. They got to play the easiest schedule. They should have lost to Duke. That was absurd that they actually won that game. I don't know. I'm not super high on this SMU team either. I worry about the returning production of defense. Kevin Jennings, I'm not the biggest Kevin Jennings fan, to be honest.
I'll be strong here. I'm out on SMU. I'm completely out on SMU for this coming year. And look, I don't want to take anything away from Rhett Lashley. He's been great. 29-13 in the last 3 seasons he's been there. They went from an above-average AAC team to a college football playoff. They made the college football playoff last year. That is a ginormous success. And yes, losing to Penn State in that fashion leaves a bad taste in your mouth, but last year was successful. It was great. Nobody thought they'd be any good last year. And to do that while going from Preston Stone to Kevin Jennings midseason, I think that's great. I'm not in on them this year. Look, offense was great last year. 129th in penalties per game last year with 8.3 per game. 132nd in penalty yards per game with over 80 per game last year. Dylan, you touched on it. That's institutional. Dylan, I think you're right there. And look, Kevin Jennings, he's electric. He makes a lot of big plays. When he is good, he is great. His ceiling is super high. He also makes a ton of mistakes. And I have a note here. Top 2 running backs are gone. 3 of the top 4 wide receivers are gone. I don't know if Kevin Jennings is good enough to elevate all of those new productive, skill positions around him. Is that who he is? I'm not sure. I think we're going to see a lot of mistakes from Kevin Jennings this year. 11 picks last year. And then, the defense, look, 8 transfers across the D-line. That was their strength last year. Young guys are going to have to be good quickly, or the transfers are going to have to play up from where they're coming from. I don't know if I necessarily see either one. I'm out. I think they take a giant step back this year, and they regress more to where we thought they'd be last year coming into the ACC.
I kind of agree.
And I hate to do that because I think they were such a fun story last year. I loved watching SMU last year, but I don't see it this year. Over-under is 8.5. And it's juice to the over. Like, come on.
I didn't love watching SMU last year, if I'm going to be honest.
It was kind of fun. I thought it was fun. You didn't know what you were going to do.
It's the leading defense in the ACC. Of course, Karter didn't like watching.
I think the most disgusting thing is how they actually lost to BYU last year. That was one of the worst games I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, that was bad. I was watching that at, I think, Buffalo Wild Wings. Shout out $9 endless apps.
Oh, my God. No free ads here, Connor. No free ads for Vita.
They could be a sponsor. But, yeah, I just... 8.5 wins juice to the over. Are we serious? This SMU team's going 9-3? Come on. I don't see that. That's one of my favorite bets is the under. Spoiler.
I do like the under. Dylan, anything else on SMU, or we can get into some of our picks?
Let's get into the picks. I agree with Connor. Not feeling them.
Let's get into some of the picks right now, and then we'll talk briefly about some of these other teams. We'll go briefly at the end here, but I want to get into these picks right here. Most overrated team in the ACC. Dylan, go.
Perfect segue. I said SMU. I think you take this defense that was supposed to be, it's the top defense last year. You don't have any returners starting. I think it's going to be a train wreck for them. God forbid Kevin Jennings gets injured and Tyler Van Dyke is the starting quarterback for this team. It could go south real quick. I only bring up the injury because Jennings does get it done with his legs, but that does make you more injury prone. Mm-hmm. God forbid that happens. I don't like the hands that the team is left in. I would say SMU is my overrated team.
Connor?
Unfortunately, I'll be brief here. Mine was also SMU, and it's for everything I just said. Jennings is electric, but they're unproven guys at skill positions everywhere. A lot of mistakes I expect from him. 11 picks last year. Non-con, Baylor, TCU, that's fine. But at Clemson, Miami, Louisville, that is a tough schedule like we touched on. Don't base this year's opinion off last year's run. That's what I'll say.